Welcome back, everybody. I came across a really interesting podcast video, and it's not something I normally watch. It's Impulsive with Logan Paul. At least I think it is Logan. Anyways, because of his controversy, I really didn't find him to be all that deep. I guess his vlogs really never showed a more sensitive side to him, even though he's still got some things that he's got to work out, and things like that. I found this particular episode to be very kind of deep, and shows a little bit of Paul's side, and kind of his perspective, and also one of his friends. Definitely got a lot to relate. I definitely have a lot to relate, especially with Logan and his friend. I forget his name. I think he's like a Viper, or I guess I call him, I don't know. We're going to find out here, but the point is that, definitely want to give a few thoughts and just kind of talk about some of this, this kind of paradox that friends deal with, and, how to, kind of help them with their issues and things like that. So I can definitely give a perspective, because I also have a friend who's in Paul's situation, who's got a lot on his plate, and he's very social, and he's got to help a bunch of other people because he genuinely wants to help. That is, at least that's Paul's perspective, and my friend is also in that very same situation. He wants to help, but he's kind of struggling with how to manage his time, and how to respond to people who are struggling. And I just want to share this with you, and we can talk about it a little bit more and kind of get that kind of perspective. It also changes the way I think most people should think about Paul, or Logan Paul. Excuse me, Logan. I keep saying Paul, but it definitely makes me like Logan a lot more, because he's he definitely cares to a degree, and he's limited by his experiences growing up, that you can kind of see where he lacks. But it definitely shows like a more sensitive side that I think kind of almost redeems Logan from his unfortunate embarrassments. But nonetheless, let's just go ahead and watch this a little bit, and I'll skip through some parts because some of it's kind of like dry, and it's not really the bulk of really what I want to focus on, and the context does not get messed up as I show you all these shorts. But I'll leave a link for the video in the description below, and you can go ahead and watch the whole thing. But I'm just going to take a few pieces out and just talk about each of these kind of paradoxes that Logan and his friend.
A little runs. I do want to ask this question before it's too late. Who would you say, this is average and height related, who would you say is your best friend in the house these days?
Honestly, Rhea.
No, I'd be human. It's just very height, because with the whole disabilities.
Evan and I got in a fight the other day, and like a week passed of us like not talking.
Literally, we just really went, Logan.
The first time we ever said anything, we were just like, we stared at each other from across the way, and I was like, Evan.
I literally said, replied as, Logan. We literally didn't laugh.
Are you guys?
We just kept walking.
Are you guys as close as you used to be now?
Physically?
No, just like as friends.
Honestly, I would say no.
I don't think so.
Issues.
What's the holdup?
Ever since, I would say, we moved into the house.
Really?
Which is interesting, because you'd expect the opposite.
It's a heartbreaker.
Because I think at the W, we literally
They're dealing with living with each other. It's not easy.
lived across the room from each other.
Like we always saw
Like,
each other.
Waking up was the first thing you saw coming out of each other's room was each other.
There's so much space here.
So much space. I got my own area. You got your own area. It's just like
You literally have the whole wing of the house to yourself.
literally the whole wing.
Yeah.
And it's like I got everything I need in my room.
Well, that's the issue.
Yeah.
That is the issue.
I'm
It's
just gonna
very
say,
bad.
yeah.
Very bad.
Like,
What if we removed the video games from your room and put them in a different room?
find me a room that doesn't smell like pig shit,
Well,
dog shit,
Impossible.
stink
It's
shit.
impossible.
Oh, and most
Yeah.
importantly, it has
Yeah.
Wi-Fi that supports your gaming.
It has Wi-Fi, so I can
Listen,
actually play the games.
We got
I will,
1G on
I
the
will,
way,
I
though.
will say
Because we're in the
this.
fucking bunker of nuclear warfare. I don't know.
I will say this, and I didn't want to tell you this. I wanted you to find out after. But your your Xbox and PlayStation have been removed from your room during this podcast. They're gone.
Yeah.
I think if
Everyone's
you,
here.
I think if
Now that's me talking to my sister. You know, like worried about her a lot.
you came down more and just interacted with everyone
100%,
else, bro,
100%.
the friendship
Okay.
would be firing.
It's true.
Funny
Here
that
we
you
go.
say that. Funny that you say that. Like, get ready.
Here we go.
Here we go.
When I do come down and interact, what is it mainly?
I'll be you, Evan. Hey, Logan.
Okay.
Logan, what's you want to do that skit that we've been talking about lately?
What is it?
The one where because we got the cars that we were gonna drive.
I see what's happening. I see.
The car. Remember
What? No, which one?
the cars that we were gonna. We got all the cars. We lined them up because I have time today.
Oh, yeah. It's a good question.
All right. Let me counter. Let me counter this. Let me counter this.
That's not what he does.
Oh, 100%.
Good question.
Hold on
He
a
goes,
second.
good question.
Hold on a
And
second.
it's just like,
Gone.
all right, I'm might as well just go talk to my friends on my game stations who actually talk to
No,
me.
then when he finally pays attention, this is what he says. Hi, big girl. Hi, big girl. And then
I
he's
love
gone.
I love my dog Ginger. Here's why. I'm
Remember what I said earlier at the beginning of this video? You know, like Paul's argument is exactly what I heard from my friend. You know, like not really engaged. You know, like feel distant issues.
preoccupied. I'm busy
Always,
till about
always.
2 to 3 p.m. every day. Work out till noon, right at the podcast. So let's say I have a window from 3 to 8 during the daytime. I'm working. If you come down, what you do for 5 to 10 minutes
Wait,
at a
saying
time.
3 to 8, you're working?
Yeah.
Okay.
Typically. And then I try to cool my brain off from like 8 to midnight. If you come down for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, which is that's the window we get.
Yeah.
There's a solid
I do that.
fucking chance.
I do that.
But that's what I'm saying. There's a solid chance
Yeah,
that
one
I
of those
am
times.
mid-grind mode.
Yeah.
And as much as I love you, if I'm in the midst of something, bro, I can't compartmentalize. Everything is focused on the one endeavor or one thing I'm doing at that time. Like before, I couldn't start this podcast and talk about and get briefed on it until I posted the last podcast. I just can't, like,
Yeah.
Now this, I understand. I know exactly how Logan feels. You got a lot on your plate. You know, sometimes you feel like what they're dealing with is just not as important, and that's not the case. That's not the point. Is that he feels, and this is my experience. Whenever I'm trying to deal with something and I'm trying to, you know, better my life in some sort of way, and somebody comes to me something that I feel is not as important as that, you know, like it comes off as me just being like an asshole, essentially. You know, like I'm not as committed, I'm not as thinking about it because I'm going to have anxiety because I feel like if I don't complete this in the moment, it's not going to be as good. I deal with, you know, like if I think about something too long, it loses its luster. It lacks something, you know, and it's part of that artistic kind of like thought that if you're disrupted, it can throw off like the whole piece and make things, you know, not vibe right, and it won't come together, and you won't be satisfied with it in the end. So I can definitely understand where Logan is coming from. You know, like I definitely understand that part. You know, and it is hard to like find a stopping point. You know, there usually are stopping points, but you know, like it's not easy. Essentially, there is no really good answer. You know, like you got to have a really strong relationship in order to be able to get through issues like that.
thing needs to be finished and then on to the next.
We did talk to Hobson about this yesterday. And Hobson told us about this great relationship that he had that he lost because every time the girl said, "Hey, can I talk to you?" he said, "I'm in the fucking studio right now. I can't be bothered with this bullshit." And he lost one of his best friends in the world because he was always grinding. And we know what the results of grinding can be.
What did I tell you, Logan, when we got...
He doesn't finish his thought there, but you know, you end up being married to your work and you have no relationships. You know, you have one-offs, you know, like it can make you mad even because you'll lose everything and you'll feel like you won't be able to get it back. You know, and you know, if you're a kind and decent person and you snap out of and you have these billions of dollars, you know, and then you have all these sycophants around you, you know, you're going to feel like the relationships you have are completely artificial. and it's just gonna make things so unhealthy for you, and like it drives people mad. People with billions of dollars, trillions even, maybe not even trillions, but like billions of dollars, and they're at the top, at the peak of the human hierarchy, and they're miserable, absolutely miserable, because of the devotion that they gave to it. They have all that money, but like, what good is it?
Before we got the end of that fight.
Oh, shit, we're going here.
Because
He said-
I said it because it needed to be said. And
But then I do want to say my response to what you said.
Okay.
Evan said, he goes, if you keep acting like this in 5 years, you're not going to have any friends. And I said, you're probably right. Unfortunately, I have made the sacrifice that my goal and desire to create content for the world that is my number one, bro. Like I am here as a...
He doesn't recognize what he's saying. That means nobody else in that room matters.
want to take over. You want to fall in love and have a family, have a kid.
I love caring for people. I love just
No matter how
seeing
tight, no matter how tight your focus is on one thing, on winning, an unbalanced life is a failure of a life. It always will be. Everyone will tell you the most important thing in life is
That's why I
balance.
like this
Is
guy.
balancing your work,
I
your
disagree.
drive,
I disagree.
your friends,
Heavily
your
disagree.
family.
Nikola Tesla died a virgin, never fell in love.
Sucks for
Nikola
him.
Tesla.
Sucks for
He's
him.
Nikola Tesla.
Praise Nikola Tesla.
He changed the world.
Terrible.
Changed batteries,
He had a
he changed
terrible
electricity,
life. He
changed
died an
communication.
unhappy, broke man.
You know that for a fact?
Yeah, it's a known fact.
Nah, bro.
You just said he died.
You called his life meaningless.
No.
Based on the
no,
rationale you just said, Nikola Tesla's life was meaningless.
No, I didn't say. Don't base on rationale and then use a word that's not tied into it. I said he lived an unfulfilling life. Okay, if you die without doing the things that are important in this life and finding balance, your life will have been unfulfilled.
Well, I think what you're assuming though is what balance means. I agree with you. I think you have.
And at this point, my perception of impulsive changed, because they don't just talk about women and objectification and one-offs and like talking about their intimate moments with women and just doing all these kinds of things that really I think are really disservice to women. But here I feel like there's redeeming qualities that I'm going to be looking for in many of Jake Paul's podcasts.
Have to have balance, but in terms of some people, actually their balance is they know their purpose is like entertaining the world or inventing all the things that humanity needs, and to them that's what brings their passion out and their happiness.
So
the balance has to be jaded to that. I agree with you. I think you have to have balance, but in terms of some people, actually their balance is they know their purpose is like entertaining the world or inventing all the things that humanity needs, and to them that's what brings their passion out and their happiness.
So
the balance has to
it.
be jaded to that activity.
I get it, but I also, and you're right,
different for
100%. But I also think he uses a lazy out with this. Okay, I'll tell you why.
Dude, he lays it out so good. Like your purpose should not interfere with taking care of people. Never.
I grind all fucking day too. I have 15 different fucking thousand things going on. Jobs here, consulting here, podcasts here, vlogs here, content creative, all these things. If Evan comes to me and he says, I'm having a really tough time with something right now, and I'm about to post something or I'm working on something, computer closes, I walk out of that room and I go with Evan to take care of him because he's my friend. That is balance. Then I walk back out and I get back to
thing. I'll do the same thing, and I have every single time in the past for the past 4 years. I have. There's not been a single time where Evan's come up to me and wants to talk about something where I don't.
What's his attention span?
Logan's backtracking here because he said earlier that like when I'm doing something, I have to get it done. I don't care what's really going on. If you want to chat or do something, I have to take care of it. And now he's contradicting himself.
Until he's fucking satisfied, and you can't tell me otherwise.
What did he say
you
to you?
can't, bro.
What did he say to you?
I will if you have a problem and you're feeling uneasy about something, I'm 100% there for you.
What did he say to you at Coachella?
Yeah, I'll say
What
that.
did he say to you at Coachella when you were telling him why you were crying?
100% come up to me and wants to talk about something where I
What's
don't.
his balance? Then I walk back out and I get
I'll do
back
the same
to
thing. I'll do the same thing, and I have every single time in the past for the past 4 years. I have. There's not been a single time where Evan's come up to me and wants to talk about something where I don't.
What's his attention span?
until he.
Yeah, no, I don't understand how Logan forgot that he said that. I don't know. I don't understand how anybody here said it. It's like, no, I can't compartmentalize. That's what he said. You know, I have to get it done. I'm on rails. You know, I gotta get this done. I can't derail. You know, that's his impulsive behavior.
He's fucking satisfied, and you can't tell me otherwise.
What?
Ironically, the name of his podcast. He's very impulsive.
What did he say
You
to you?
can't, bro.
What did he say to you?
I will if you have a problem,
And this right here leads more to that example I made between me and my friend, you know, and like it'll come together. It takes a little bit of time for it to like, you know, work out, but you know, in the end, you know, Paul's or Logan and Evan's dynamic and the problem that they're having, or that the problem that they had at Coachella, is very similar to what I have with my friend.
when you're feeling uneasy about something, I'm 100% there for you.
What did he say to you at Coachella?
Yeah, I would say
What
that.
did he say to you at Coachella when you were telling him why you were crying?
I mean, like, if we're going to get into it.
No, we're not saying
What,
that.
let's start over. What did he say at Coachella to you while you were crying?
Then again, if we're getting into it, it's not me getting into it. It's him getting
No,
into
I'm
it.
just
I haven't
asking.
brought any of this
These
up.
are the questions
He's getting the one
because
that's getting
Look, Evan's like being like really, really delicate about the situation because he knows that whatever he's gonna say is gonna make Logan look really, really bad. You know, and that's why, you know, I stand by Evan in this, that, you know, he's been hurt a lot, probably more than anybody else in that room. And Logan doesn't have a lot of empathy for that, you know, and you're going to notice his frustration here.
This is a therapy session. I want to work on
He
it.
said, honestly, man, I'm getting bored.
I had been talking to you for 2 hours, bro.
Oh, I
Right? And now Logan's deflecting. You know, he's deflecting. He's like, dude, I gave you all the time. There's a bit of controversy over, you know, how much time he actually spent. But clearly Evan, you know, is like, he's not buying it. He's not buying it at all.
would say 10 minutes max.
No,
10
I would
minutes
say
max.
5
5 to 10 minutes
5
max.
minutes max.
Because I had been
This guy is so on it.
with them and I left you guys alone for a few minutes. And you said, honestly, man, I'm getting bored.
Not true. Absolutely not true. I exaggerated. I was talking to
We
you
got
for
a
an
2
hour.
verse 3
I had
or 2 verse 1.
I was talking to you for an hour. I had people begging, tugging me by my shirt. Logan, when are we doing this? When are we doing this? I'm like, yo, Evan needs to talk to me right now.
No one was in the room. It was just me, you, and Mike.
No, people would walk in, walk out. You know how many texts I was getting saying, Logan, we need you.
But
Logan,
they
wanna
were
go
like,
to
but
next
this is
thing?"
the thing. This is the thing with grinding. And by the way, I'm using Evan as a vehicle for my own issues too.
No, I like what
So he's felt the same things as what Evan is dealing with Logan. Like he's felt that from Logan too.
I just,
happening here,
and
'cause,
by the way,
I
let's
have
keep
to,
it.
I have to heavily disagree, bro. That
Yeah.
without sounding like Evan needed any of
He's a bit self-involved.
this, the amount of things I've done for him, the list is very,
Of course,
very,
of course. He knows,
very fucking long,
he
my
knows,
friend.
He knows that, and I know
Very
that,
fucking
and
long.
everyone knows that.
So that's what I'm
Everyone.
saying. Tread lightly when you say like, I'll close my laptop and like,
Well, yeah,
hey,
but
good for
once
you,
it-
buddy. Do you know why he's out here in LA
But
pursuing his dreams?
No, but allow me to defend myself
Stop.
when he's done. Let me to
Stop. No. You once said in life, you done a lot for me. Yes, you done a lot for me. There's a fine line between doing a lot and being there for someone. You once, when I called you, when I thought I lost my Rolex, that was one of the hardest things I could have done. I had to do. When I thought I lost it.
Why?
What did you say to me when I told you I lost it?
I was like, great. Like, that's no problem.
You don't care about material objects.
For context, it was a Rolex that I bought you.
You don't
And you-
care about
and-
material objects.
and you were afraid to tell me that you lost the thing that I bought you.
What do you describe as a materialistic object? Like, in your mind, what is a materialistic object?
I will specify and say any sort of high luxury item, such as a Rolex
Okay.
or a car or a house.
I could give 2 shits if you give me a Rolex.
Nah, he's speaking out of place here. You know, he's trying to double down on the idea that, you know, material items don't buy friendships, don't buy, you know, they add to them, but they don't foundationally cement and solidify friendships. You know, it's the moments you share and how you get through all of those problems, you know. and coming out on top in the end.
A place, I guess, I'm not give. I shouldn't say I give two shits.
Right, you're
I'm very
thankful.
thankful.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. But I would rather have you be there for me at the end of the day than for you to give me a Rolex.
Yeah, and
100%. Which you don't know the fine line between feelings, emotions, pretty much friendship. Like not, I want to say friendship, but like almost like
if you're gonna make a
Evan's touching on the very, very thing I just said. The core of a friendship is not the things you do. Okay? If it's not from a place of sincerity and a sense of like true, genuine, like love for that person, that's why I said that earlier. Like love for that person, like there is love there, and we can talk about the dynamic of love, but like I love you, man, I'll be there for you, whatever you're dealing with, just come to me, and I'll do whatever I can, to help you in the situation, because like it sucks to do things alone. It does. That's what love is. It's like you suffer with them, like you, and it's the sacrifice. You sacrifice time, and Logan wants to be a multi-billionaire, and like it's a good goal, has a lot of worth and value to it, but at what cost? At what expense do you have to make? At the cost of treating others in a way that makes them feel not important, that's definitely crossing a line. That's not being human. That's not pushing, ideals that'll truly benefit society,
a blanket statement this big, I'm gonna need you to back it up and elaborate. If you're gonna say something like that, I need you to back it up.
no, you've been there for me.
Yeah,
We talked
every
it.
fucking time.
Yeah.
Every time.
If you're not there in the critical moments, you're not as close. If you're not there in the critical moments where you're about to crack and you're about to make a mistake or do something that you would regret, and your friend isn't there for you, and you recognize that, one, you're not going to go too far, but, it kind of triggers something in your head that, I can't rely on this person in the very same way that I thought I could.
But
Like if we want to go back to the Coachella situation specifically.
But no, but you were there. But what the fuck did you say at the end? Honestly, man, I'm getting bored. How did you think that makes someone feel who's already down and out? How do you think that makes someone feel by shitting on them even more?
Can I? Can I ask you?
Because you don't go fucking care because you don't have emotions. But for someone who does have emotions, bro.
Calm down.
For someone who does have emotions, who's already down and out, it's something like, suck the fuck up. This is boring me. Like, you can't say that to someone who's down.
Can I ask a question? I would love most people's opinions, and I would because this is.
He doesn't have a lot to say. He just knows that fundamentally he feels like he's being, taken advantage of. And I would too. It's what they're dealing with right now is not easy, and this shouldn't be seen as something easy. This is a complex kind of situation, and I don't think it's really no more Jake's or Logan's fault than it is Evan's fault on the way that each of them reacted. There's definitely a little bit of give that can definitely be given on either side of this debate.
This is where this gets tricky for me. I'm at a serious crossroads with how much time I dedicate to someone if they're feeling down and out, if I don't see shit flipping in their mind. If I provide every solution and every possible remedy that I can and they still don't see the light, how long am I going to sit there and wait for you to get your shit together when I am surrounded by 50 people at Coachella who are all waiting on me to do something?
You just let them handle it. That's the way you deal with it. And that's where I think Logan really does have a heart, and he does care because he's stirring inside of him because he sees this person who's suffering, and it's really frustrating that that the person Evan that he's talking to isn't listening to him, or Evan doesn't feel like he's got the strength to do what Logan asked him to, and at the same time he's got other people that that want to have a good time with him, and this person's in this unfortunate repetitive cycle that, he's got these insecurities and that, he feels like he's not enough, you know, and it makes you do things that are questionable, you know, and like I feel for both of these people, both of them.
An event that I spent tens of thousands of dollars on because I went there to have fun, not worry about, we can believe this if you want, you losing, which by the way, I offered to pay for. Like, how much time do I devote to someone before I'm like, I honestly have a life to live, Evan, especially when I remedied every single thing that you said. I gave you the same solution 10 times, and they're good ones, by the way. If you listen to what I say, I am a people person. I understand people very well, but there's a point where I sort of like, for lack.
Still kind of questionable. I don't know if he's really a people person. You know, he says he is, but you know, if you tend to harm people's like emotional states, you know, it doesn't really make you a people person. It just, you know, you understand how to deal with specific situations similar to what they're talking about. Of course, we don't really know, but, you know, obviously it's got to do something with Evan that would, you know, dramatically, you know, make him feel even worse if they were to talk about it. So it's obviously something very, very, very sensitive, you know, and very, very personal. So, you know.
A better verbiage, I give up. I'm like, I've done everything. I'm bored.
And lashing out is definitely not the way. Is definitely not the way to deal with somebody's insecurities. You know, lashing out makes them feel worse. You know, and that's where, you know, Logan, you know, has to reel that in and, you know, treat people, you know, and just show a little bit of empathy and patience. You know, like, it's got to show a little bit of patience in the matter.
Maybe that's part of my problem, is that I'm literally too honest and too candid. Like, I'm harsh, dude. I'm really harsh. And yes, something I have to work on. Absolutely. The way I communicate how I'm.
He recognizes it. So, I mean, like, he's definitely aware, and, you know, he's not some sort of like sociopath or really anything like that. You know, he definitely has empathy. You know, he gets frustrated, and that's understandable. You know, he's used to having things, you know, happen for him, and, you know, he's conditioned himself to recognize that when it comes to personal issues, you know, like, he makes a lot of money. He can usually, you know, pad that sort of really, really, you know, uncomfortable situation with, you know, comforts and things that'll provide for him in a physical sense, that'll help him, you know, manage the stressful situation that he's in, you know, and he gets all the things that, you know, Evan feels like he should have.
Feeling, but like, quite honestly, when I tap out, what's the point of me buttering the biscuit and being like, hey man, like,
yeah, blowing sunshine.
I got yesterday. Hold on, let me get one thing in here. Yesterday, for example, and this is the biggest takeaway, and because I think the biggest thing here is like, what are the action items coming out of it? We had a therapy session. Like, let's take good action items coming out of it. Yes, yesterday, for example, you're right. You're 100% right. You do more for this kid than probably anyone, and no one will ever take that away from you. It's not me. I'm not saying that. Yesterday was a good example.
And that's the way me and my friend are. You know, he's done a few good things for me, you know, and that's the hard part, is that, you know, like, we've exchanged, you know, words of affirmation that make you feel like you're really, really, really close, you know, but then issues happen, and then you start to recognize that, you know, maybe our friendship wasn't as strong as the other person let on, you know. That's just the hard truth of it, you know. And I still think about, you know, my friend, and, you know, just like, I rack my brain all the time about like why did it go so wrong, and, you know, like, how do we get it back necessarily, because me and my friend had a big fight, you know, and how we don't see each other anymore, and, you know, like, you know, he's doing his own thing, and, you know, he's pretty content, essentially, you know. He's got his buddies, and I used to be kind of part of that circle, you know, and they don't know how to deal with someone who gets married, and, you know, they feel different in some sort of way because, you know, I went off and, you know, did something a little bit sooner than any of them did, but, you know, it's been ostracizing, you know, dealing with that.
Example of it. You know, his situation where he isn't always like, feeling the best, or like he's in his room, he feels kind of depressed, and like let's bring this example outward a little bit to people that might be in your lives that are feeling depressed or like isolated or whatever. When they make a final attempt or an attempt to come out and rejoin the group, even though you had made time for them earlier and they might not have been feeling up to it, make time again when they finally do come out of the room. So yesterday you said, Evan, I'm ready to have this meeting now. He wasn't ready for whatever reason.
Do you know the reason?
He was playing video games. Why is he playing video games? Maybe he's depressed. Maybe he likes that feeling of being isolated. Who knows? What I would have done yesterday is when he came out and said, can we talk now about tomorrow's episode with...
It's because he doesn't feel accepted in the setting. You know, just in general, you know. And clearly, like, there's unresolved issues. That's why, you know, Evan wanted to isolate.
With a disability, and you said, I have to do this. I'm done with this right now. I'm on something else. I would have... This is just a small tweak. That's not your personality. I'm just making a small note. I would have been like, you know what? I'm going to go inside myself right now to make the time for Evan, to make him feel included and make him start to feel like he's part of the unit again. Because it sometimes takes just a little kickstart with someone who's feeling excluded or feeling depressed or whatever to get them to start feeling better and making the right strides.
I hear you. You're right. I hear you. I will say the level of clockwork that I'm operating on every day, like if I am forced to wait 10 to 20 minutes for something, it's tough for me, man. It's tough. Like 10 to 20 minutes is a lot of time for me.
You
to be
also
doing...
expecting me to drop everything I did. It doesn't matter if I'm playing video games. It could be like literally editing a video. It could be like, wait 10 minutes. It could be literally anything. If it's not at your moment, at that time, at that moment, when I'm in my grind, I'm in this grind, and it's never the right time. Like, it's not for that moment. It's like, oh, I'm on something else. Like, in 10 minutes, you're literally on something else. You literally couldn't take just wait 5 minutes. 5-10 minutes just to be like, okay, you know, I didn't give him a heads up. You know, I kind of just put this on him. Didn't give him a heads up. Because that's what you do. You don't give a heads up. You expect
Did we give him a heads up? I think
No,
we did.
you
I think we
didn't.
texted him 30 minutes earlier and said, Evan, please come down to the dinner table. We want to talk about this thing. We waited a half hour. We waited a half hour.
From
Mac,
I did not get that text.
I don't know if you're paying attention. My friend Mac, he's known me since elementary school. One of my best friends. He said the hardest thing about living in this house right now is operating on your schedule. Like everything operates around your schedule. And unfortunately, bro, that's just the way things tick right now. And also, I have zero sympathy for waiting for video games if you're not making money or a career out of it. Absolutely zero. I'm sorry. I don't.
No.
And that's where Evan, you know, is kind of letting his video games kind of control his relationship, you know, because, like, video games are just games, you know, like, you need to see it for what it is, and if it doesn't, you know, earn you any sort of income, like, there is a hierarchy when it comes to, you know, dealing with people, you know, and people understand that if you're doing your job, you know, like, we need to give you a little bit more time or just allocate a little bit more time so that, you know, you can finish what you're doing at a reasonable time, and you know it's not going to put you back on your work, and you know people understand that, you know, and obviously Logan understands that, you know, if you're not making money and you're just, you know, leisurely playing video games, like that's just disrespectful, you know. It's a game, you know. And people should come before games, 100%.
I get that.
That's what I was gonna say from Logan's perspective. I think like what Mike was getting at from a productive standpoint. Where's the value in the purpose behind the video games, and like not?
Quite honestly, Spencer, I don't know what the fuck to do with my life, dude. I'm lost as fuck, and when I go, I just have to take.
Yeah, you're good, bro.
I just have to.
It's fine.
No.
You know, Evan's dealing with this dichotomy of, you know, like, hey, I did something wrong, you know, and, you know, I feel like I'm pushed into this avenue, and, you know, I'm just so insecure about the whole thing, you know.
Dude, embrace it, bro.
This is tough for me.
This is a real episode.
This is really.
Logan cares. If you look into his eyes, he's like concerned. He's like, man, how am I going to rebuild this? You know, like, what is it going to take? I'm frustrated. You know, how do I deal with this? It's really, really interesting to see how Logan, he cares, you know, and I never saw that before.
Do you want to just get off of it? Or like push off of it, something else?
I can't say I didn't see this happening. Did
I mean, I
anyone
think-
not see this happening?
Well, I just drove
I think
it
this
there,
is
but I also
this is
was
good
hoping it
though,
would
man.
help in
It's
some
crazy.
way.
It's crazy to me how much, just like living here, I have never seen this happen.
I've seen it, so because he calls me. He calls me.
Well, just I mean, I think it's crazy to see how much emotions are underneath. Like
One
we
of the-
see people walking by every day. Everybody's, hey, what's up? But like, there's a bunch of shit going on underneath the surface.
Bro, this is not uncommon to me. As much as you can say, you know, Evan, and you do. We all know Evan. We
Yes,
all
yes,
love Evan.
yes, yes,
Bro,
yes. You
I
know
have been
him
best
for
friends
sure,
with this kid
for
for
sure,
4
for
plus
sure.
5,
yeah,
7 years, 6 years.
6 years. Yeah.
I know the kid like the back of my fucking hand, bro. And just recently, there's this thing where, quite honestly, bro, and I feel so bad to say it. Like I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Like I don't know what to do anymore.
You know something is important when he drops his voice like that. He means he's so serious about this. Yeah, he's racking his brain.
How much more
I think the
can I
biggest-
help
I think
Evan before I'm like,
Yeah, I think one of the things that is tough about this is sometimes helping isn't like giving something to someone. It's taking some things away or moving things or, you know, putting that
like am
that
I
person in a
enabling?
position.
Is that what you're saying? Do I enable him to sit in his room and play
You might
video games
be.
Yeah,
in $7 million mansion?
you might be
in the
because
second biggest room in the house?
if I started doing that, I know because like I haven't known you long enough in comparison to Evan or anybody else. Like if I started doing that and taking up that real estate and not, you know, being a part of the team, like, you know, I wouldn't be too surprised if you were like, hey man, like you go do that somewhere else. So I
go
think
do what?
go get another apartment. Like
I've never said that. I've
I know,
never
but-
had that, and
right.
I would never. By the
Which
way,
I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying
because I believe, and maybe this is like selfish in a way. Like I told you, bro, my number one goal: create content for the world. That's the shit I want to do, and that's what I know Evan can do, and I know he can change the world because
Yeah, I
that's
think we all
that's
know
a
that.
talented fucking kid, bro.
Absolutely.
And no one believes in him more than me, and I want him to see that, and I'm pushing him. I convince him to move to LA so he could do that. We just have to find the fuel that he can put in his tank
I think-
to achieve what he wants to do.
Dude, so he cares. You know, I feel like this is a huge, huge, huge change, at least in my mind. It's what Paul really wants.
let's get him back on.
Yeah. All right.
There we go.
I think like yeah. I think my one note on that too, and by the way, let's change back because we had an important topic today, or not. I don't care. But I think the one note on that would be there are times in life where it might, like I said, it might just take a 0.05% twist of your main objective to seriously impact someone else's life in a positive way. Not enough to even get you 10 less views on a vlog. It might just be the way you address him. It might just be the way you
Right.
say the things you say.
Well, it's
to
about
him.
compromise, right? So it's like you're explaining Logan's situation. I think we already handled that. Like, I think all of us have areas to grow, but Ev, first off, like, it's good
I
for you
know, I
to
didn't-
express that. And I think
don't like
the
doing
reason
this
why
type of shit
I
on cameras.
asked it is because, like, bro, we're all lost at some point in our lives.
Hell
like
yeah.
all of us, like month to month, there's time within that month where you're like, what the hell am I doing? All of us. Like, and if
All
you're
the
saying no,
time.
it's just not true.
All the time.
That's humanity. So like for you to be talking about this, like don't feel weak because it's okay to address that. And I know we're on the podcast, but I feel like they can really help people, man, for us to figure out why you're feeling
I
those
just don't like
things.
doing this type of shit on cameras.
Yeah,
I
feel.
really don't. This is same thing with vlogging. The thing in life, I think, there's a line in life where to turn off and shut off the cameras. And this is one point I think to shut off the cameras is I don't like. I think it's hard to talk things like this on camera because it's too real for me. And
He's reverting back to weakness and how he felt like he was weak, you know, and that you can't show weakness because you'll get ridiculed for it, or people will take advantage of it, and then you'll feel worse. You know, the wrong people will take advantage of your weakness, you know, and he's afraid of what the viewers might do, you know, like whether or not he actually thinks that something will happen, you know, that isn't the point. That he's responding in a way that, you know, shows that, you know, he's very, very uncomfortable with people seeing a sensitive side of him, at least super sensitive.
I don't think we get
Why are you looking at
Because this was your fault.
I didn't know it was gonna go this deep.
I don't think we actually get to the point of reason when the camera's in the face. You don't really get to the point. It's because you got people watching, and it's like you gotta entertain them, and you gotta like.
But
I
think
forgot the cameras were there.
think about this though. You could be right. I'm not taking it away from you, but also, I think that's the thing about vlogging and all these other mediums is that the podcast gives us the ability to be real, and people can listen in on that. Because if all these people that are watching only watch vlogs, like they're not getting anything real. So like if they're watching right now, people are strapped in, like they're down to learn from this situation as we are too.
And by the way, I will say, like I am confident that the majority of people, look, please comment below, will side with you on this. And Mike's absolutely right. My abrasiveness and that fire in me is like almost it might be too big of a fucking fire right now. And I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if it's like because I'm boxing now and I'm just like fired up all the time. But and maybe I need to go to therapy to figure out why I don't like.
No. Logan's being too self-deprecating in this matter. You know, he's right that Evan needs to deal with his own, you know, issues. You know, you can only, as the observer, you can only do so much. You can only do so much. You can't make them, you know, think better of themselves. You can only provide examples that they are better, you know, than the way that they perceive themselves. You know, you can only provide so much and pad, you know, and try to, you know, take away edges or, you know, try to baby proof whatever it is that's creating, you know, uncomfortable situations. But at some point you got to remove all that, and they got to be able to do it on their own. You know, like that is the unfortunate and hard truth, is that when you're dealing with something internally, you know, and it's preventing you from your truth or your happiness, you know, nobody can attain that for you. They can only assist you. They can't bring it to you. You know, like they aren't the vehicle. You are the vehicle that achieves your happiness at that point. You know, and that's really, really difficult to understand, you know, but you just latch on to the help that people give you, but you have to walk it. You have to make the steps, and that is the hard part. You're not alone, but you do have to, unfortunately, walk every single step.
Like, well, I mean, listen, you've just seen, it's not a fire. It's just, you've seen what that confrontational vibe in life has done to your relationships in other places. And they're the same relationships that I've talked about trying to fix since I came on. You have a very clashing, abrasive personality at times. And it's what leads to our on-air argument.
Critical times. Moments that, you know, that leave lasting impressions on people.
It's what, like, it's just how it is. The biggest learning here is just that for the people that are watching or listening to relate to is if you know someone in your group, a friend of yours, a family member is struggling, and even if the thought in your mind is, oh my God, they have everything they could ever want in life. Their life should be so good. Why do they just play video games? Why do they sleep all day? Why do they not go out? Understand that mental health, and understand that those issues in life are not always so easy to put a finger on. People are going through things, and it might not be as easy for Logan or for Spencer, who are headstrong, like very, very well thought out individuals, to understand. But people like me and people that deal with certain levels of mental health problems understand what it's like to feel like you're under a blanket of grim energy or negativity or depression or anxiety. And I also, on the flip side, know what a couple positive or kind words from someone you love can do for your fucking day. And so if there is someone that you know that's suffering or is doing anything, just playing too much video games or sleeping too much, adjust the way you're talking to them. Being good to someone is giving something. That's giving something of yourself. That means 1% of your career might go to 1% of helping your best friend be better. Is that worth it to you? Not you, but is it worth it to anyone watching or listening? 1%, you may not get 1,000 views over what you would have got, but your friend may want to live his life better. Is that worth it?
That pretty much, sums up, everything that I've said. It just, what is worth your time, your money, your energy, your existence? What is it worth to you? Making money sounds pretty empty. Nikola Tesla, it's a perfect example. Plenty of people have felt empty. And they have everything. It's relationships. Leaving behind memories in people. Taking those memories on into the next life, if you believe in that. Dealing with anxiety and depression, mental health is huge for people who have seen and dealt with more than people who grow up at the top of the social ladder, and are always there. Talk well, funny, make good friends, have, in the eyes of society, very acceptable and very attractive people around you all the time. You become disillusioned to the pain that people go through and have been going through all their life, which, it sounds like the gentleman in the black hat, I don't know his name, I guess it's Steven. I don't know. It seems like he's got a touch of that too, and Logan also has moments of that too, but, it's on a completely different level when you deal with these things, since you were in grade school. And I guarantee you, Evan has been dealing with this longer than either of them, in a completely different manner. Not just on a mental, cognitive scale, but on a physical scale, because in his reality, he sees himself as different. That is unacceptable to him, and that is the hard truth of the matter. And that's why he is so hard on himself and he tries to isolate, and it's really, really hard to watch people, spiral in that sort of way. My sister dealt with a very, very, very similar thing, that she just struggled socially, and she felt like she wasn't enough. She felt like she couldn't be who she was, that who she was wouldn't be accepted. And that drives her to isolate. And she's so much better now. I've been working with her, and, and my wife Kaylee have been absolutely just the best thing for her. And giving her, opportunities to stretch herself socially and, work on her own self-confidence and being able to, attain things and achieve things and have accomplishments that have value, not in society, not in a frivolous kind of way, but just in a matter of, just something that makes them feel like they are progressing, and whether it be career-wise, socially-wise, relationships, building something along those lines, That's what everybody needs who deals with a poor self-image of themselves. It's something I developed out of. something that fundamentally I learned on my own, to a point to where I could find someone who could show that side of me that I never saw, a piece of me that, you know, that has a value far greater than I ever thought, you know, and that's the point of the matter. And realistically, I think that's what relationships actually show, is that if you're in a relationship, there is somebody who is so close to you that shows to you that you are valuable, you know. And if you're alone a lot and you struggle, you know, intimately, or, you know, you have a hard time building meaningful relationships, you know, like, that's very lonely. It's horribly lonely. And to see others succeed and to have these ideas that it's because of the way I look is the reason why, you know, I'm not successful, is the very problem. You know, impressions are important when it comes to avoiding danger, but impressions should never be on the table when you're meeting somebody who is not a threat to you, you know, in any sort of way. You know, who don't show signs of aggression or unstable behavior. You know, if you're normal and, you know, you're chill, you're just quiet, you know, you shouldn't be persecuted for that. You know, people should be more willing to approach you and, you know, try to get you to come out of your shell so that they can truly see, you know, who you are and what you've gone through. You know, we should be that way for people. Less jokes, more real, honest conversations, you know, because jokes aren't real. They're just fantasy, you know. They're clever, elaborate, you know, social skills that entertain, and that's all they're ever really going to be, you know. You can get away with showing imaging and, you know, try to have a narrative within your funny behavior, you know, in order to get a point across, but, you know, in the end, it's just entertainment. So, you know, it's a deep podcast, and, you know, it's definitely something I definitely recommend everybody watch from start to finish. You know, still has the Logan Paul flair to it, you know, but in a more meaningful kind of way. You know, it's just that Paul really cares about the people around him, and that he wants them to succeed, and that he wants them to be happy, you know, in some respect, you know, of the matter. So honestly, you know, whatever happened with me and my friend, you know, he was, you know, he felt like Logan, and I feel like Evan in the matter, you know. Not so much in me not doing anything. I'm currently like bugging the crap out of him and try to get him to snap back to the relationship we had, but like he's taken this, like, I think this idea that, you know, I can't drive 35, 45 minutes to come hang out with you, you know, because I need to work. I've got a relationship. I've got business partners, you know, like, you know, and he kind of put me on the back burner, you know, and he socializes with everybody else. So I don't know if that's, you know, me saying I just need to chill, or, you know, is that supposed to mean something? Honestly, in reality, it kind of means something to me. Like, he's trying to tell me something. We're not as close. You know, I'm not living up to what I said, you know, and that was, you know, like, you're like the closest guy to me, you know. And, you know, that really meant something to me. You know, that was a really, really sincere and, like, meaningful moment, you know. Like, we told things to each other that, you know, like, only people who are truly within our inner circle, you know, like, flaws, problems, personal issues, you know, like, things you don't tell normal people, like, outside of a spouse, you know. Like, that's just how close we were, and we hung out like 2-3 times a week, you know. Like, it was great, you know, and there was one situation that happened where, you know, I gave him a piece of equipment, you know, a drone essentially, and you know, it turned into a whole thing. And you know, at one point he said the drone had some sort of mechanical issue while he was using it, and it broke. Then he told me that the drone got stolen out of his truck. You know, it's just this whole web of insecurity that just swallowed him up, you know. And here, you know, he said he'd pay me back. You know, here it is 3 years later, and you know, there's not a word, you know. And it's been really hard. It's been really, really, really hard to deal with that. You know, it's just the nature of it. You know, there's really not much else to say about the matter, but, you know, like, just live up to what you say. And if people don't live up to what you say, you know, just take that to mean something. You know, I'll always leave the door open. You know, I'm not a spiteful or hateful kind of guy, but, you know, like, you just gotta, you know, just gotta let them, you know, do the best you can, and, you know, try to manage any way you think you should, you know. So, you know, I definitely think I'm a bit stronger for it, and, you know, I hope at some point, you know, my buddy will come around and recognize that, you know, people and relationships are more important than making money. And I firmly believe that, you know, it's because of our relationships is why we make so much money, because our relationships, you know, make us who we are, you know. And that's the unfortunate part, you know, is you make your money, you want to be able to share it. God knows I will. So that's all I got for y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me and, you know, kind of listening to these kind of important conversations that I think that we all need to be having with each other, you know, building relationships and mending them, and, you know, working to actually try to work them out. You know, time you spent, the amount of time you spend with somebody shows how much you are devoted to them, you know. And making time in a extremely uncomfortable time in your life shows you care, you know, regardless. So leave your comments down below. I'll see y'all in the next video. If you could hit that like button if you're going to come back and see me, that would mean a lot to me, especially if you're reoccurring. You know, you clearly like the video, so so go ahead and just help me out. Let's see if we can get more people to come and see this video. That's what the like button does. It'll make the video more accessible and put it in front of people to decide whether or not they actually want to actually see the video. You know, can't watch the video if nobody clicks on it. But I digress. Thanks again, you know, for chilling out with me. I look forward to talking to you more, you know, and talking about sensitive issues like this. So take care of yourselves. Look out for one another, you know, and just be there, you know. Just be there for those you care for and devote your time to them, and you'll never feel like it was time wasted, you know. So, later.